Welcome to GenderMeowster Podcast Network. Genderful is a talk show featuring non-binary and trans folks discussing various topics and special interests. We kindly remind our listeners that no person is a monolith of identities. All opinions are the speaker's own. This show airs live on Twitch at twitch.tv/GenderMeowster, and VODs with show notes can also be found on YouTube. I've been up extra long today. I don't have a gender check-in today. I usually do those on Monday. So this is an extra podcast episode, which is awesome. So let me just make sure this is working. There we go. Gathering ourselves. Don't forget to hydrate, friends. If you haven't grabbed water yet, you might consider grabbing some water. Okay, without further ado. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Genderful, a podcast talk show where we talk about gender and different topics and identities. My name is GenderMeowster. I'm your host. I use they, them pronouns. And our guest today is Logan, who uses he, him pronouns. Hi, Logan.
Hey, Meowster. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm really glad you're here. Thanks so much for joining us today. You were just on the show a week ago doing the awesome Green Hollow premiere on the internet.
Yeah. Thanks for having me back. That was
so great.
Yeah, Green Hollow was really great, and I'm very pleased to be back again.
Hooray! I love it. So just as a note for folks watching live, this is an Ask Me Anything stream. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to either post them in the chat or go to the AMA channel in Discord, and one of the mods will filter your question and plunk it into our questions document. Today our topic is gender and tabletop games. Ooh. So Logan, can we start with you telling us a little bit about yourself, your name, your pronouns, your hobbies, maybe your hobbies around tabletop? Who are you for people who've never heard of the great Logan?
Yeah, so I'm Logan, he, him pronouns. I'm an Australian trans queer man. And a huge nerd is usually how I describe myself. Yeah, I'm a game designer. I design games for my work, and then last night I met one of my partner's friends, and she was like, "So what do you do outside of work games?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not making games. I'm playing games."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Wow, it's just games. It's just games all the way down," which is great fun. I also play a little bit of guitar and read, but it's mostly games. Now that I've had to think about it. A cat person. I just moved out of home for the first time, which is really exciting. From a house, my mum has always had a lot of animals, and then I moved in with my dad, who has 0 animals, and now moved out with some housemates who have a dog and a cat, and the cat is just so cuddly and smoochy, quite nice. And the dog is very just like perpetual puppy dog eyes, very cute. So I'm enjoying that. I'm a bit more of a cat person, but dogs are great too. Yeah, I also enjoy camping and just being in nature, especially forest landscapes. Just really, I don't know, make me feel things. Yeah, and I would like to get better at gardening.
I like that. Is it fall where you are right now? It's spring where I am.
Yes, we call it autumn.
Okay.
Yes, it is autumn currently. And it's been like sunny during the day and then quite cold at night.
Mm-hmm.
Although this morning, so it's 11 a.m. where I am, and basically just before now it's been raining all morning, lightly raining while the sun was still out. But now it's cleared up and it's quite sunny again. So it's there are several hours where it's quite nice and then it gets really chilly. So it's nice weather when it's nice when it's nice.
I hear that. Awesome. I love it. Well, let's see. So you've told us a little bit about yourself. I love that so much. Is there anything else you want to say about Green Hollow before we dig into your relationship to gender?
Yeah, yeah, it's been really exciting having so Green Hollow is now in open beta, so you can just play it for free via amble.studio, our website, and that's been really exciting. And getting people talking about it and playing it and signing up wanting to play, continuing running play tests. It seems that there are three projects that are suggestions for that you can play out in Green Hollow, and it seems the art studio making an art gallery is like far and away the most popular one. So that's quite interesting. It's
Okay.
nice to think that humans are wanting to create art. So that's nice. But yeah, just bringing out feelers and people interested in bringing Green Hollow into their workplaces, which is really exciting, and potentially getting some work, yeah, through that, which is pretty cool. And then yeah, we've got like a bunch of other games up our sleeves that we're working on, which is also really exciting.
I remember looking at the website for Amble Studios. To get Studio Singular.
Studio Singular, yeah,
One
one
single
day,
studio.
yeah,
I was impressed with your website. You have a lot of cool cats on your team.
yeah. Thanks,
I was
really
like,
great
oh,
folks.
look at all these happy people. They're so cool.
Yeah, we did that photo shoot. So the photos there, we did a Amble photo shoot day, which was really cool. I'd never done a professional photo shoot before, and yeah, we did like some of those, professional shots. Like we're all, dressed up, pretty fancy. I was wearing a suit. No, I didn't. I wasn't wearing the jacket, but yeah, I was wearing suit pants and this shirt and everything. Um, and then we all got dressed up as like fairies and knights and like wizards and took photos in those costumes. So that was also really great. They'll pop up on the website somewhere.
That's so awesome. And Paradox Satire has included a link to your studio and the game here in the chat. Hooray.
Oh, thank you very much.
So helpful. I'll add it to the show notes too, so folks watching later or listening later also have a chance to check out your awesome things. And also, if I remember, it's in beta and it's free to play.
Yeah,
And
yep.
if we
Free to
want to
play.
give you money because we think you're cool, what do we do?
You can now do that. You can give us money on Ko-fi. So yeah, it's
Ooh,
Ko-fi, Amble Studio, which can be found on our website. There's like buttons on our website, and on our Twitter as well, which is the Amble Studio. There's links to the Ko-fi now in numerous places.
that's awesome. I love that. There we go. I got it right. Okay, here's the link for that. Boop. Okay, let's the cat has appeared. Nefertiti heard you
Yay!
like cats.
Yes, thank you, Nefertiti.
So, um, will you, Logan, will you tell us a little bit about like your experience and relationship with gender? Like what was it like growing up? What was coming out like? I'm going to take
Yeah.
a wild guess and say you might have had some HRT, and how has that been going for you?
Yes. Yeah, so I guess as a kid, yeah, I preferred dressing, and this is, disclaimer, this is my own experience. This is not you have to do this to be trans or
Yes.
anything like that.
Thank you for the
Um,
reminder. We like to tell folks no one person is a monolith of any of their identities. So the reason we will talk to a bunch of trans people about things is so we can get a diverse array of trans perspectives, which is why we just
yeah,
keep talking about gender. This is episode 11 of talking about gender once more with feeling. Like we just keep talking about
yeah, yeah,
it.
because everyone experience is different, and
Totally.
that's really valuable to everybody else.
Totally.
But yeah, I guess as a kid, I like to dress like pretty masculinely. I didn't like skirts or dresses. And looking back now, I think, and the color pink I really disliked. Um, and I think it was because of the way, if you do these typically feminine things, you're treated as as how society thinks feminine people should be treated, and you're viewed as a girl and all this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me really uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, I'm in a place now where I have a very different view of my gender, or I'm more comfortable in it. And so I'm like, yeah, I still probably wouldn't wear dresses, but yeah, I'm looking at maybe wearing skirts and exploring that. And like, I don't mind the color pink. I quite like the color purple, which is also feminine.
Purple is my
But
favorite color.
it's a good one.
It's a
It's
great
really
one. I
nice.
love it so much.
Oh, I'm hearing
Have you
purring.
yes, oh good. Have you considered like a salmon button up? Just a really dapper salmon button up shirt.
I don't know. You reckon salmon would suit me?
I don't know. I saw
I
I
don't know how
saw
I feel
one
about that.
recently and I was like, salmon. What if it had like flamingos on it? Like it was like one of those patterns where it's like the print is this big and there's like 1,000 of them,
Mhm.
and you just like a bunch of pink flamingos on a white shirt, maybe doing the one-legged stand thing.
Okay. Yeah. I for some reason I immediately picture flamingos wearing sunglasses.
I was
I
thinking
don't know if
that.
that's
I
what
was
you
totally thinking that in my mind.
Yes. Yeah, amazing. Okay, we're on the same page here. Maybe if I see that shirt, I will keep an eye out.
I'm gonna write that down as a merch store idea for someday when we get
Pink
around
flamingos
to
wearing
all of the
sunglasses.
ideas. That's so funny.
That is quite funny. You write that down. I'll keep talking.
Okay.
Yeah, so always dress like, typically masculine, shorts and t-shirt and that kind of thing. One of my sort of earliest memories around gender was when I was writing. There's a small one where I'm pretty sure I said to my mum at one point, "Oh, I wish I was a boy," and her response was like, "Oh, that's you can do anything a boy can do. You don't have to." I think her
Sort of
response was like, "Oh,
the
yeah, Logan's
feminist.
feeling a lack of something," and yeah, trying to be encouraging, because our society is um getting better, but still quite sexist in a lot of ways. Like, oh, you throw like a girl, or
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So she was probably trying to, um, yeah, I don't, protect or remove those kinds of ideas, and being like, there's nothing wrong with being a girl. Girls can do everything that boys can do. Not realizing exactly where I was coming from, but parents do what they can. And then another memory I have is when I was riding up and down the street on my bike with, I think it was my brother and maybe some of our neighbors. Our street was like a court. It was a dead end street, so we could ride up and down there pretty often, pretty safely. And there was a child walking by with their parents who, as I rode past on my bike, um, pointed at me and asked their parents if I was a boy or a girl. And at the time, that really excited me. I felt really elated at the thought that this kid might think I was a boy. And I kind of felt that feeling in my body, and I didn't kind of rationalize it in my mind what that meant. I didn't think too much about it. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm happy. I'm going to ride with this. And then I tried explaining it to my mum. Later, I told her about this experience, and that this kid might have thought that I was a boy. And again, her thing was like, oh, that's okay. And she was kind of like something bad had happened, and she was trying to make it okay, not realizing that I
And
was
you
really
were like,
excited
something
talking
great
about
has
it.
happened.
Yeah, like, this is amazing. She's like, oh no, that's okay. Don't worry about it. And I was like, hang on, that's not that's not my response at all. And I was just like really confused. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm feeling the wrong thing. Maybe I shouldn't feel this. And so I just kind of dropped it and didn't bring it up. Um, yeah, and then I went through a period of really trying to be a girl. And yeah, like, after, I thought there was a time where I thought that hitting puberty would make me a girl, and that,
Mm.
like, oh, I'm, everyone feels this way, and then I'll hit puberty, and then I'll be like the other girls, and then I'll like makeup, and I'll like dresses, and hormones will do this magical thing that will make me a girl. And so I was
Logan,
quite.
hormones do a magical thing, but you have to have the right ones.
They really do. Yeah,
I wish
this
you
is true.
could. I wish
Hormones
you
are
could see
magic.
the scruff that's growing out of my face. I'm about 2 months into tea, and it's just I've got little peach fuzz everywhere that glistens in the sun. It's the
Yeah,
cutest.
I could actually see some like here when you like on a certain angle and the light was coming through. I could see some here. So yeah, it's happening. Yeah. Where was I? I don't remember. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, hormones. So I was actually quite excited for when my first period came. Thinking that it was going to magically change me. And then it didn't. And I was like, ah crap. So yeah, then I went through like a bit of what's happening, and then I tried really hard to be a girl. Like, oh, maybe I'm not, because I was still dressing quite masculinely. I was thinking, oh, maybe if I try and be feminine, then I'll actually really like it, or maybe not trying hard enough. So I went and I was wearing at a point feminine clothes and um skirts and things, and I like went out and bought myself like pretty bras, um which is funny to say now. But yeah, it just didn't work. Nothing changed. And then in high school, when I was maybe 16, 15 or 16, um, I started first hearing the word transgender. And I was like, oh, what's that? It like kept popping up in like I think news stories or like on the internet, on like Tumblr and things that I was on at the time. And I was like, oh, what's that? So I went and like Googled it and watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and I was like, this is me. There's a word.
I love
And
that.
it was just, my brain just like exploded. I was like, wait, this is a thing you can do, and other people have done it, and it's real. It was very, very exciting. And I just went, watched so many YouTube videos, read articles, looked up like binders and STPs and hormones and top surgery, just the whole hog, bottom surgery as well. Just like researched everything and like just sponged up all the information that I could.
Totally.
It was really, really exciting.
So we call
And
that hatching. Before you were in egg mode, and then you hatched.
yeah, it was an explosive hatching.
As
It
a
was great.
service announcement for those in chat who are showing up and saying things like, "I just came out as trans a month ago." Hooray! Congratulations! Welcome to the community. In the Meowster Discord server, the Cloud of Meowsters, we have roles for questioning identities and also like solidly feeling like you're in an identity. And one of those things is gender. We also have neurodiversity, disability, plurality, and questioning sexuality. So if you are exploring and you want your little egg to hatch or you want to learn more, we've got a really strong meme game and you can come hang out and read memes. Honestly, I realized I have ADHD by reading a bunch of ADHD memes and finding them to be too relatable. There was this really popular tweet that was going around a little while ago that was like, either ADHD needs to be less relatable or I need to see a doctor. And
Yeah, just like memes are really concise ways of conveying information.
they really are.
And
They're an art form,
yeah,
truly.
kind of are. And like all you need is more information more information is how you learn things about anything, including yourself. Like I was never gonna know that I was trans if I didn't know the word trans, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So you're not gonna know you have ADHD or you're neurodiverse or plural or anything until you learn those words. And sometimes you learn those words through memes. That's
Yep,
okay.
totally. Okay, so your egg hatched, you did all the research, you learned about all kinds of things. Is there more that you
So
would like to share?
I guess after that, I wanted to start doing all the things. I wanted to get a binder, and save up for top surgery, change my name, and start T as soon as physically possible. And at the time, I was still like 16 or 17 at this point. So I was in Australia. You can't start any medical transition under 18 without parent permission.
Hmm.
And
Not
I
even
knew that I
blockers.
wasn't going to get that. No, not blockers. Yeah, parents have to be on board
Oh, that's
for
really
everything.
awful.
And by that time, I was like well into like puberty by that point, so blockers probably wouldn't have done much.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I knew that I wasn't going to get parent permission because my parents are pretty conservative Christian. So that was a big source of fear for me coming out to them. And yeah, I kind of started acting out and like hiding in my room and yeah, like my mum
You were
picked
a
up on
moody
it.
teen, Logan?
I was a
Ah,
bit, yeah.
you're such a cheerful person now. It's like you
Yeah,
self-actualized into your true self or something.
it's like I start being the real me and suddenly like yeah, I'm super happy.
I love that for you. I'm really happy for you.
Yeah, thank you. It's been quite a journey. But yeah, I started acting out and kind of culminated when in year 11, early year 11, so I would have been 17 or 16. I turned 17 at the end of the year. Um, one of my so there's an exchange student from Germany who came over, and she was leaving to go back to Germany, and so we're throwing her a goodbye slumber party. And I had a crush on this exchange student, as you do. And yeah, I wanted to go to this slumber party, and my mum said no. Um, and I snuck out of the house and went anyway, which is the most rebellious thing I've ever done in my life. The only rebellious thing I've ever done in my life. That's not sort of like transition related. Um, and yeah, so I snuck out and went to this party. When I came back the next morning, mum was like, "Okay, I know something's up. You need to tell me now." Yeah, and so I came out to her then, which wasn't super on my own terms, but like kind of unavoidable by that
Wait,
stage.
hold on. So you came home from the slumber party and that's what happened? Or did I not track the story very well?
Nope, you got it. Yeah, I went to the slumber party, slept over, came back the next morning, and
Wow.
confronted me like something's up. You need to tell me. And yeah, I came out at the time. I came out as bisexual and as not wanting to be a girl. Um, and I think mum heard bisexual, and I think maybe zoned out at that point. I think that was the maximum information she could take at that point. And I feel like not wanting to be a girl didn't really land with her at that point. Maybe she didn't hear, or maybe there's also a possibility that I just said it really quietly because I was terrified.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, yeah, that part didn't get across. And then yeah, she soon after, from memory, she drove me over to my dad's house. My parents are divorced, to tell him. So yeah, also not super on my own terms, but kind of felt unavoidable. And yeah, sat down with him, and at that point, kind of talked a bit more about trans, wanting to be trans. And I had a video of Benton Sorensen, who doesn't really do YouTube videos anymore, but at the time he was, he's a trans man in Canada, I think, who was doing videos on his experience of testosterone. And I had a video up of him and said, I want to be him. I want to do what he's doing. Um, and got shut down, basically. I was like, nope, not doing that. And then I was forced to move schools to a private Christian school. Yeah, after term one, so it was quite abrupt. I was forced in the closet. I had to wear a girl's uniform, skirt in the winter, dress in the summer. Wasn't allowed
Yikes.
to tell anyone. And yeah, it was really rough. I did actually end up like I was depressed at that point. And this is a school that I had actually been to for some of my primary school years, so there were folks there who knew me. So I didn't even really get a fresh start there either. And so there were some folks there who knew me and were like, "Oh, something's up," and "Are you okay?" kind of thing. And so I took one of these friends aside and told her, "Yeah, look, this is what's going on. I'm trans, and it kind of sucks right now." And she was really great. She's a medical student now, so she was really interested in like the medical side of things, like, oh, how does that even work? Like, oh, what's testosterone do? That's so fascinating that hormones can do that. And was, yeah, quite like hyped up and excited for me. And yeah, it just seemed like, okay, you're trans, cool. Now we're just going to talk about it excitedly. So that was really great for me at the time. But yeah, I wasn't out to any of the rest of our friend group until year 12. So the next year, I didn't know any of the other people in that friend group at all before then. So I didn't really feel safe to come out to them. But then, yeah, I think we'd been friends for about a year or so. And this friend that I had told was like, yeah, look, the others can tell that something's up, that something's off. And some of them feel like you're hiding something from them. And I just wanted you to know that. And then I kind of felt bad. Like I didn't want them to think that I didn't like them or something. So I wrote letters to everyone in that friend group and came out as transgender and as straight at the time. I thought I was a straight man.
That's right. Because one of the questions I had written
Yeah.
for us to discuss also was how has your sexuality changed over time? Because that's something I'm sort of curious about in general is like how, as your personal identity shifts, all of these other pieces kind of scoot around too.
Yeah. So yeah, I came out as straight at the time, and we can touch on sexuality a bit more as well. And I encourage all of my friends in that group to, like, yeah, if you need to talk to your parents about this, please do. If you know have someone you can confide in, or you want to ask questions, you can ask me. You can talk to other people. Didn't want them to have to keep it a secret because I had to keep it a secret, and that sucked. But I had actually, like, I'd promised my mum when I moved to the school that I wouldn't tell anyone, that I wouldn't come out. And then I came out, so breaking that promise. And she found out when one of my friend's mums talked to my mum. And yeah, mum was angry, and she went actually around to that mum's house and apologized to that mum that I had burdened her child with this knowledge that I was trans. Yeah, mum had this whole thing about me telling other people was like a big burden on them, which I think is just a reflection on how it felt to her.
Yeah, that
That
sounds
was a
like
big thing for her to do.
unprocessed parent feelings. We're actually in the middle of next month. We're going to have my mom on to talk about stuff like that and how she got through it all.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I'm looking forward to it. It'll be earlier in the day here, so it'll be hard for you to get to because it will be very early in the morning. But the VOD will be around, and the
I'll catch the vibe.
podcast
Yeah,
episode. I'm excited.
yeah,
I was like, oh my god, my
that
mom
would be
wants to
good.
be on my show. That's so cool.
That's lovely.
Yeah. Okay, so there was some coming out. There was some people feeling like the coming out was a burden, which is just, insert all the eye rolling here.
Mm.
What next? What else?
Then what happened? Yeah, then I graduated from high school. Survived high
This was
school.
all. This
If
was
you're in high
all in
school
high
and it
school.
sucks, you
Ooh,
can survive. You can do it.
you can
Yeah,
do it.
high school can be rough. It can be double rough when you're trans, but you can make it. Um, yeah, it's tough, but like there
Someday
is
you'll
an
be
end.
as
There is a
handsome as Logan.
maybe more handsome. We don't
Maybe
know.
more handsome, or beautiful, or
Yeah,
pransome.
beautiful or
That's my
gorgeous,
favorite mixed
stunning,
up one. Is pransome, pretty and handsome put
transome
together.
or pransome.
Yeah. Although transom, I like that too. Trans handsome. Nice.
Yeah,
We just coined a new word, everyone. You're welcome.
transom. Yeah, hashtag transom. Actually, kind of like that.
I love that. Quick, everyone. Hashtag
I'm tagging
transom
all
in
my
the chat.
selfies with transom. Yeah, so then I graduated, and that was like a big relief. I'd also been banned from speaking to any of my old high school friends um, while I was at the new school. Um, yeah, so I couldn't message any of them. I was only allowed to correspond via letters, snail mail, to my best friend at the time. Um, and those letters were often read by my dad before they were given to me. Um, yeah, which was the thing. Um, but yeah, then I graduated high school, and I like could talk to them again. I messaged them, but there was still that we hadn't talked to each other for like 2 years forcibly. So there was like, I don't know what's going on in your life right now. Like we haven't spoken for 2 years, so there was a bit of distance there, which like hurt. But we've reconnected since then, which has been really lovely. But yeah, like as soon as I put forms in, so yeah, put the forms in to change my name, and that was all I could do at that point. Then I had to, I'd been seeing a psychologist all through year 11 and 12. My mum actually set me up with those psychologist appointments and drove me to them, which was really great for her to support me in that way, to take me to a psychologist that specialized in trans people. Where, yeah, she could have just been like, no, we're not seeing a trans psychologist, as in a trans friendly psychologist. The psychologist herself was cis. But yeah, so I'm grateful for that she took me to that psychologist, and also helped me book appointments with a psychiatrist, which you need to have seen a psychiatrist in order to get on hormones.
Right, because don't psychiatrists have an MD or equivalent?
Yeah, they can prescribe medication where psychologists can't. And I think my mum was still hoping at that point that the psychiatrist would see me and say, no, you're not trans, it's something else. But it didn't happen. The psychiatrist told me and said, yep, he's trans. Or didn't like look at me and say it, but we had a couple of sessions over a number of months. And I had to fill out like a weird questionnaire that is a little bit outdated. But yeah, and then I had a session with with the psychiatrist and my mum, and then a separate one with the psychiatrist and my dad. And my dad is very kind of I like to think logical, rational kind of brain. So when he heard the psychiatrist say, yes, your son is trans, and by helping him along this journey, he's going to be happy, he was like, okay, professional said it, let's do it.
Wow.
After that point, he'd be very hesitant. He had been doing a lot of his own reading a lot of books. Some of them were, about by trans people. Some of them were about people who have detransitioned. Nothing wrong with detransition as well. Just, who you are, you learn more about yourself and you do what you need to. And I think his fear was that I would do something permanent like top surgery and then regret it later and not be able to come back. But once he heard the psychiatrist be like, yeah, if you help him take these steps, he's going to be happy. He was like, okay, we're going to do it. And he set out a plan with dates in the calendar. Like on this date, we're going to tell my aunt. On this date, we're going to tell my uncle. On this date, we're going to tell my nana.
Wow.
And then it kind of lined it up so that by my birthday at the end of that year, everyone would know me as Logan, and we would sing "Happy Birthday, Logan," which was very
My heart
nice.
just cries with joy for you. Oh my god, that's the most wholesome thing I've
Thanks.
heard all day.
Yeah, that's what wholesome for my dad looks like. It's very structured, but it was great.
Your dad sounds that's some good parent advocacy right there. Oh, I'm totally crying now.
Quite just all
That's so awesome. When I wanted to change my name, I did a GoFundMe, and for my birthday, my dad threw like $200 in the GoFundMe for the name change, and I totally cried. It's like, wow, my parents support me, like getting rid of the name they gave me as a present when I was born. It's pretty meaningful to me. So,
yeah,
that's cool. Way to go, dads. Have you done dad things with your dad, like play baseball or something? Throw a ball around, go fishing.
Very American, but
it is very American.
Not really. Yeah, my dad like works a lot, and has ever since I was a kid. We used to wrestle together. I have a number of siblings, and so me and my brother would like wrestle dad, and our sister would like hide under dad, and we'd have to like try and tickle her or climb over dad to get to her. But that was when we were quite young, like under 10. But yeah, I haven't really done a lot with my dad since then. We did like family things, like day trips to theme parks and movies and that kind of thing. And more recently, while I was still living with him, I would try to like play games with him every now and then, like chess and checkers and Mancala and Love Letter, which is a really good card game. But yeah, I think one thing that we sort of did do together was after top surgery, he was taking care of me. You're a bit fragile after surgery.
Yeah.
And he would wash my hair because I couldn't reach my
Yeah.
hair properly.
Yep.
That was very sweet. But
That
we
is
don't
sweet.
have any sort of regular activities that we do together. He's kind of, he's always busy. He's always, probably a little bit overworked.
That's a thing. It's a thing that can happen. I had a reduction surgery a couple of years ago now, and I thought I could tough it out and do it with my one friend, and then 2 weeks before I got real freaked out. I was, that was 5 years ago, so I was still in my mid-20s back then, and told my mom I was scared, and she actually flew out. She got like a last minute flight and flew out and was there for those first 3 days when it's real bad, and did all the stuff because I'd never had a major surgery before. I'm younger and fairly, I don't know. I haven't had any major catastrophic organ failure or anything, so I haven't had to have like big surgery stuff. And so it was scary. It was like my first time going under like anesthesia besides, basic dental stuff, and I won't get into details. I don't want to squick anybody, but it was really nice to have my parent there loving me and caring about me and affirming me and yeah. So I love that your dad like took care of you and washed your hair. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, it was really yeah, my mum had a bit of a longer journey. And I think what really helped for her was to see me happy, to see me go on this journey and for it to make me happy and for me to be more myself. I think she also had fears. A lot of the resistance from my parents, at least, was around fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of me regretting it, fear of me getting hurt. Also, maybe some fear around other people like not accepting me. Reflecting their own maybe lack of knowledge around trans folks. So yeah, my mum had a little bit of a longer journey, but she made it in the end, and now right name and pronouns is not even a thought anymore. It's like, just easy. That's Logan, he, him, whatever. Brother, son, and like my family is my extended cousins and family. They're all really good as well. I do have one. It's a funny story in hindsight. So, as I mentioned with my dad, we had like dates set up for me to tell everyone on his side of the family, including my nana, who at the time was early 80s. She turned 86 like last week, so she would have been 80 or thereabouts at the time, maybe 79. And so I went up with dad, just the two of us went to her aged care facility and into her room, and just kind of told her, tried to use plain language, and dad was very like, just have to use plain language and no kind of lingo or fancy talk or even like modern slang. She just won't, she's not up to date on that kind of thing. But just told her, and she was like, interesting. So what are you going to do about your genitals?
Wow.
And I was like, no.
Nana.
But I just like,
don't ask that.
I'm like, of all the people,
your brain screamed.
This 80-year-old woman.
Wow. That's hilarious in hindsight, but also must have been so overwhelming.
I was just like, and dad was like, well, mum, now that's not really an appropriate question. I was like, thank you, Dad.
Good job, Dad.
Yeah, saved me there.
Wow.
And like, I was still quite young at the time, hadn't started tea or anything. And I was just like, just was not expecting that from her.
Hashtag Nana.
Nana. It's like 3 exclamation marks at least.
Yeah. All caps, 3 exclamation marks. Wow.
That was what my brain was doing.
Nana.
But she's great now. She's never asked me anything like that again.
That's wow. Thank you for bringing that story here. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's Yeah. And then yeah, I suppose the only other thing is my siblings. So I have 3 full siblings and 2 half siblings. And then as of 2-3 years ago, I also have 2 stepbrothers as well. So there's quite a lot of us. But yeah, we were all the original 4, the OG 4, I like to call us, the 4 that are full blood siblings. Yeah, we were all quite young when I was first coming out. So I was like 16, 17, 16 when I was first coming out. So I had a brother who was 15, sister 13, and another brother 11. So we were quite young. And uh, yeah, we were all still quite in the age where, for us at least, you hear your parents say something, that must be true.
Yeah.
And you just kind of go along with whatever your parents say. And at the time, my parents were like, this is not, transition's not okay, being trans is not okay. And so that's just kind of what they were like accepted and took on board. And that was how they interacted with me at the time. And it was really tough. Yeah, my brother, the one who's just 2 years younger than me, we were quite close, and I'm quite close with my sister as well. And yeah, we used to like stay up and like watch TV shows before bed. So we were the oldest 2. We could go to bed an hour later than the others. But yeah, one day he said, "Look, you can do whatever you want, but when I grow up and I have kids, I don't want you to meet them." And that that was really rough. And we were quite young at this point. So I think part of me hoped that, in the decade or so that would pass before he would have children, that something would change. But yeah, that was tough to hear. But at the time I was like, okay, Sam, that's fair. You can make those choices for your kids. And now he's like, oh, I am so sorry for saying that. That sucked. You're welcome to meet my future kids. Like, he's totally chill. And yeah, same with my sister. We had a pretty tense relationship because she's the only girl in the family, and I think that may have played some part in her perception of me becoming a boy. And so our other 2 brothers, they used to tease her quite a bit, and in some ways still do. And I think maybe there was a fear that I would start doing that and kind of leave her by herself if I was to transition. So there's a lot of fear there as well. But now we're like super good, and she's like a really great ally, strong ally for me. And we just chat about all sorts of things. So now it's all chill. It was like really rough, and now it's really good. So big journey, but I'm very grateful to have stuck around for it and to have landed in a pretty great place now.
I'm grateful for you taking the time to share your story with me. I feel like I haven't run into many trans masculine or trans man narratives in my life. I have a handful of friends who've told me pieces here and there, but I'm really grateful for the opportunity to sit and listen, start to current. You're not finished yet, right? You still have many decades to live and genders to explore as life goes on, and you had mentioned maybe trying skirts or flowers or something at some point. But yeah, I thank you. Thank you for sharing your story with us today. I love it. It's so good. Okay. Um
Thanks.
yeah. Do you feel complete on the gender and sexuality topics and want to move towards gender and games and game dev questions and all of that? Or is there more that you would like to say on some of those other topics?
I'll just quickly finish on the sexuality point there. So yeah, at
Okay.
first I mentioned when I first came out to my mom, I came out as transgender and bisexual, and then when I came out to my friends in high school, I came out as transgender and straight. And then yeah, when I was coming out as straight, I thought I was straight for a number of years. Um, there was still a lot of like internalized homophobia in there that I was grappling with that I didn't really realize until only a couple of years ago, um, when it became pretty clear that I was also attracted to men. Um, and yeah, I guess there was still that fear about how my family would perceive me, because going from a going from a bi woman to a straight man um, is kind of more acceptable in certain conservative Christian ideologies
Especially if you
than
pass.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you pass as a man. And so that kind of felt like safe. Oh, I'm a straight man now. Like I'm acceptable. I fit in this box. And then yeah, I now identify as pansexual and polyamorous.
Nice.
My family, I haven't really disclosed a lot about polyamory to my family, my extended family, because again, fear about how they will perceive me and my partner. But yeah, open as pansexual and pretty. Yeah, if I see a cute boy on TV, I will say so.
Mm.
Um,
Well, happy Pan Visibility Day recently.
yes,
Hey.
yeah, I was visible for one day, and now I'm invisible again. So it's just my voice going into the ether.
Duh. Anyone who wants to dig up the Pan Pride hand heart emotes that are global on Twitch, feel free to do so now.
Oh, now it's a pan heart because I'm inside.
There you go. That's right. You got it. I love that. All right. So our first question from the audience. So Paradox Satire asks, "How did you get started working in game dev? It's a field I'm planning on going into."
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for the question, Paradox Satire. So game dev, the specific game dev that I'm in is tabletop game design, and at first I heard about Dungeons and Dragons. That was the first game that I heard about on Tumblr. I'm no longer on Tumblr. It seems like a lifetime ago, but yeah, then I started exploring that. I started playing that. It's how I met some of my found family and my partner. Amazing. And
Nice.
then I was on Twitter, I think, and I stumbled upon some indie game designers and the site itch.io, which hosts a lot of incredible indie games. And I just started sort of scrolling through the physical games tag on itch, and there was just so much there. It kind of blew my mind. Um, just the wealth of games and like you know Dungeons and Dragons was my only experience, and it's like a thick sort of 100+ page book that's quite it's considered the easiest version of D&D, and yet there's still quite a lot to it, and you've got your modifiers and your scores and your this stats, and you're rolling this dice for this weapon and this one's that. It's just so much. And then there are games on which like the entire game is one page,
Those are my favorite
and that's
ones.
the whole game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or there are games where you
My
do not roll
ADHD
any
brain
dice. It's
loves one
just
page.
yeah, yeah. It's
Or
great.
Green Hollow, where you
Um,
don't even roll any die.
yeah. If you enjoyed that format, Meowster, I highly recommend For the Queen, which is the original game that created that format. And also This Vineyard Will Be Our Salvation, which is based on For the Queen, but you play as ducks and geese.
Nice.
But yeah, so I just started looking at other games, and it's kind of expanded my idea of what a game could be. There's so much, and like D&D is for a very specific experience. It's kind of fighty. If you want to, be a big hero and save the day and kill the bad guy, you play D&D. But what if you want to be really soft and show someone how much you love them? Or what if you want to feel like really cozy and play a game that makes you feel like you're drinking a hot chocolate with marshmallows in it? Like those are so different experiences, and like whatever experience you want to feel. What if you want to just what do you just want to cry? You just want to cry. There's a game for that. What if you want to fall in love and then have a relationship with yourself, like play a game outside with the land. Like there's just so many other experiences that games can give you. And I was like, whoa, this is incredible. And just one, I think the first game that I finished was for a game jam on itch. So game jams are like little events where someone will come up with like a theme or a mechanic, or like, oh, for this game just use cards or just use one die, and have some prompts, and that can be really great to help you just spark ideas for a game. And that's what I did for my first finished game. And then I was just sort of sat and thought, well, what kind of stories do I like? What kind of experiences do I want to play? And then I just started making games for them. And the best way to kind of get better at designing games is just to make them and to read other games and play other games. It's great because you're playing other games, but that's also research to make you better at your own stuff. It's a win-win situation. So yeah, I just started playing more diverse indie games, and like yeah, it didn't even. I mean, yeah, you could play a tabletop game that doesn't use any dice. It uses cards, or there's no dice, there's no cards. It's just questions, or it's drawing a map, or it's journaling, or it uses a Jenga tower. Like it could be anything. And just experiment with what do you love, what stories do you want to tell, what experience do you want to have at the table, and then just go from there. And there are a lot of great communities on. I've found pretty great communities on Twitter and also on lots of Discords. If you want to have your work like read over, or you have questions or that kind of thing, yeah, there will often be people that also feel free to like just tag me on Twitter or message me on Twitter. I will read your thing.
And your handle is at ink_and_stories.
Ding ding ding.
It's going in the show notes.
Yeah, just start making. And yeah, for me at least, my first thing wasn't great. My second thing also wasn't great. And I tried some experimental things and they weren't necessarily great. But then you start getting better and better and you make like games that you're really, really proud of. And like sometimes other people will play them and they'll tell you that they like them.
Yeah. Whoa.
It's wild. So my advice to how to get started is to just start making games and just put them up. Even if you don't really like them, put them up. I would recommend making an itch.io page. It's pretty simple. Again, if you want tips or help, you can message me on Twitter. Just put it up there, even for like $1, or pay what you want, just to start getting a catalog of stuff up there so people can see that you are creating and that you enjoy what you're doing. And yeah, just start making, and you will get better with time.
Love that. What great advice that was. Wow.
Don't forget to have fun with it.
Don't forget to have fun with it. Totally.
You can have fun.
And people are following you on Twitter now. Hooray.
Like
okay, so something that that I know I experienced or went through is I created tabletop characters with names and pronouns and perhaps even genders that I wanted to try on before I was brave enough to do it in real life. And I would love to hear more about your experience of how you've explored gender and sexuality through games. Tabletop games, video games, any kind of games. Tell us more. Tell us more.
Yeah, totally. I also had that experience of like always choosing the male option. Like in Animal Crossing, I was the boy. I was the little boy avatar, and I would have like cool spiky hair and that sort of thing. Yeah, and like creating characters for other text-based games. Yeah, a name that I often used was Marcus. And like that couldn't be I didn't want that to be my now name because my dad's name is Mark. So that would have been weird. But I don't know, I just like that name. No.
No, we don't want to be a junior.
Yeah. But yeah, always choosing characters that kind of looked like me but with like a beard and short hair, or they have a really muscly, always the kind of more masculine options. And at the time, that just was what felt comfortable. Like I also used to like write stories in high school kind of thing, and I would always write from a male point of view. And at the time it wasn't even really conscious. It wasn't a conscious decision. It was just like what's comfortable. It just felt obvious to me. Like in the same way that picking up a pencil with my right hand is obvious. It's just comfortable. Picking the male character or writing from a male perspective was just comfortable and obvious. So it's kind of only now looking back that I can see that that was me playing in my gender. But yeah, more recently, now that I'm kind of more aware and actively exploring these fields, exploring characters who present maybe differently than I do, maybe a little bit more femininely. Wearing skirts and that sort of thing to kind of see, like to picture myself like that. and have other people interact with a fictional me like that and see how it feels, which can be really great. And I mean, inevitably, when you create a character for a game, some part of you does come out, even if it's not you. There's some part of you that inevitably comes out, which is always really fun to explore. So yeah, and I remember in like the one video game I have played is Dragon Age Inquisition. And by that time, I was out as trans when I was playing this game, but I think still grappling with my sexuality. And yeah, I went and so you can romance. There's a bunch of romance options. I played a male character, but there are two male characters in Dragon Age Inquisition who you can romance as a male protagonist. And yeah, like they have like flirty lines or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I was like feeling things, and I was like, hang on a sec, I thought I was straight. And yeah, kind of leaning into that and like seeking out these characters to have more interactions and see what that felt like to kind of flirt with a man in a video game, and sort of see how that felt, and yeah, kind of sit with that feeling like, oh, what is this feeling? Is there some discomfort here? Is there some like joy? Am I enjoying this? And yeah, kind of using that to then using that felt like, I think, more safe or accessible to explore it in a fictional world, and then go to how I was reacting looking at like actors on TV, or scrolling through Instagram or whatever, and then sitting with those feelings and being like, okay, these are the same feelings here that I was feeling from the game, and then yeah, sort of helping me land my sexuality that way. So games can be a really great platform to feel safe to explore these kinds of things, because it feels like you're kind of you're distant. You have that sort of a safe distance as from like real world consequences. You can feel like you can explore more through games, which is really valuable.
No. My heart is so warm. I just love it. I love it all. Let's see. Um, what else? Game recommendations for people exploring their own gender and sexuality.
Yes. Okay,
Ooh,
so here we go.
this is
If you
like
have
a
any of the
huge
game recommendations
resource
around,
list. I'm so excited.
yeah, and there's a lot of great. So these are just a handful of recommendations, but on Itch there are often collections of games that people curate um, under these headings, like gay games, lesbian games. You can search these sorts of terms and tags, and yeah, any game that is tagged with those words will come up. So that's really great if you just want to search yourself. But some standouts. So we've got Monster Hearts 2 by Avery, which is quite a well-known game in the indie sphere. It's you play sort of monstrous teenagers, and a lot of their monstrous nature is kind of a metaphor for how they're dealing with queerness, be it gender or sexuality or something else. And yeah, they've got really interesting mechanics around relationships, and how people can use relationships to hurt or to help each other. Yeah, it's super queer. And yeah, it can be great. Like, it's kind of expected that there'll be lots of messy relationships with anyone of any gender. Um, so yeah, it feels like a really great. It like invites queerness basically. So if you're gonna play that game, it's probably gonna be queer. So that's great. Be Gay, Do Crimes by Evan Saft. I mean, it's in the name. Be gay, do crimes.
Love it.
Yeah, it's a game about being dramatic
Dramatic
disaster
disaster
gays.
gaze on a heist.
It's a one page. I'm pretty sure it's a one pager.
Oh, I have
Um,
such a great chaotic group that would love to play that.
yeah, it's really
Just
great.
chaos.
Yeah, and like your two stats are gay and criminal. Like that's
Really?
you're either gay or you're criminal. That's all about. Like it's really great. And there's a system about having crushes or squishes on other characters, just to like drive up the disaster gayness. It's good fun. So those are kind of around sexuality. One good one for gender is Dream Askew, also by Avery Older, which is set in the future in a kind of a post-apocalyptic kind of world, and it's about a community and sort of how that community survives together. And when you create your character, it has like this future. In this future, gender has exploded. Gender is whatever, and the options that you can give. Some of the gender options, which are really great. My favorites include Dagger Daddy, Void, and Goddess, and that's your gender.
Nice.
I feel like Void speaks to a lot of people. Or you can just write your own, which is great. So gender has exploded in this future in the game Dream Askew, and so just invites queerness and that just being really natural, which is great. And finally, this one's just like really fun. I've not played it, but it sounds really fun. It's called No Love's Land by Adira Slattery, which is a game of girlfriend robots across a battlefield. Maybe on the moon. My brain assumes it's on the moon, but I don't know why. But the mechanics have you throwing scrunched up balls of paper at each other.
In
which
real
is
life?
Just like in real life. Yeah, you hide behind couches and you throw paper at each other. And like if you look at each other, things happen. And you get like closer and closer and you write notes on the paper. Like it's
adorable.
Like throwing paper at people. Who would have thought of that as a mechanic for like a LARPy tabletop game? Yeah,
that's amazing.
Those are some of my recommendations, but I have a lot more. If you're just like at home one day and being, I would like to play a queer tabletop game, just at me on Twitter and be like, Logan, I want to. Oh yeah, we got this. You sold this. I don't actually know what you're this way.
The other way.
Yep.
But yes, it's so great. We played 6 whole episodes of this game, and it was so gay. Also, all of us were like super ace except for my character. So we played like ace thirsty sword lesbians. So the what if not thirsty was our version, but it was great. We're just in space, like doing whatever we wanted, and like there are no races in the character creation, so we avoided the whole racism issue that you find in D&D and some of the other sort of more rules heavy things. Yes, so the one piece of oppression that still exists in ideal space future is student debt. I love that Taylor D&D. Hydrated sword lesbians. That's right.
Hey Taylor.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So
Taylor wrote This Vineyard Will Be Our Salvation, the game that I recommended before.
Yes.
Go follow them on Twitter. They are super cool. And they write great games.
Taylor ran downstairs to tell Taylor's partner that you shouted Taylor's game out on stream. I don't know Taylor's pronouns. Please tell me your pronouns, everyone. Mine are also they, them.
Taylor's great. But like if you're like sitting at home wanting a queer game and you don't feel like searching, just at me on Twitter and I'll spit out a random queer game at you.
I love that. So side note, Logan, are you in the Knights of the Bantam Discord server?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. So the Knights of the Bantam are a leftist socialist LLC of tabletop role-playing peoples, and they have a whole team doing production, and they have like regular meetings where they organize things, so they're very organized, which I appreciate. And I am lovingly encouraging them to move further and further away from D&D and do more and more like indie and LGBTQ plus made, BIPOC made games. And so I'm moving most or all, I haven't decided, of my tabletop production streams over to their channel. So I'll still be like producing tabletop, but it will be in partnership with them, because then I don't have to manage the post-production, what do you do with this content now that it's made situation, which is just, I just don't have time doing so many things. But the invite to their Discord and their link tree is there in the chat, and I can also put that in the show notes. but it's it would be lovely to have you in there, and if you wanted to run a game once in a while, or even just say, hey, here's my list of cool indie games that you know are trans and BIPOC friendly and doesn't have fighting or whatever else, if you want to share some of those resources, that is a big community of people that would really super love for you to expound upon your wisdomousness forever.
Totally. Yeah. And I'm trying to sort of widen my repertoire, games wise, around like identities that I don't share. So there's a lot of great games by Indigenous creators. Yeah, this vineyard will be our salvation. Is one. And then there's a lot of great games around being ace, which is really cool to explore. Yeah, what that means. And there are games that are by ace people, like by people of this identity for that identity, and then also games made by folks of that identity for people who don't share that identity to kind of share and be like, this is what my experience is like. So yeah, pretty much, any it's a really indie games are a really great way to feel seen, because there's just so much out there, and there are a lot of amazing creators who are just creating really great games. Yeah, that can just really speak to a lot of people.
It's true. I'm adding Thirsty Sword Lesbians to the show notes. We'll have
That's
a
a good one.
pile
Yeah,
of awesome yet.
Is that up on VOD yet? Thirsty Sword Lesbians. I need to watch that.
Yeah, no, you can yeah, so we have 6 episodes on YouTube. Our show is called Rainbow Hyperdrive. This command might be a little old. But there's the link to our YouTube channel. So we have 6 episodes. That show has gone on sort of indefinite hiatus because the GM had life happen and needed to be done, for now at least. So but it's so great. We have like a space amoeba, and I'm playing a cat folk, like a lion person. Of course I am. And it's just generally a lovely, fun, good time.
Nice. Yeah, I'm getting a game together with some of my housemates and extended folks to play Thirsty Sword Lesbians, and we're going to be pirates, sky pirates in a post-apocalyptic plant tech future.
I love that. We've got a nice home game going right now that I hope one day we will be able to bring the story and the setting to Twitch, but we got to finish learning the system and all of that and getting used
All
to it
right.
all. But it's cool. I like the space pirates. Future space things are always fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So here is a question from Juliet and Maddie. They ask, what's the game that you'd love to make that you haven't made yet?
Yeah, so I'm working on I've got like, the thing where you start making a game and then you have an idea for another game, so you start making that game. I used to be really good at not doing that and just working at one thing at a time. And then suddenly I wasn't, and I'm like juggling 5 games. But one game that I've been working on for a while, kind of bubbling in the background, um, is it's a tabletop game that is also my autobiography.
What?
Which is really exciting, and it's been really great to write. It's kind of at the moment, it's going to evolve and change as I do. It's kind of based on, it's got some elements of no dice, no masters games, which means it uses tokens to drive the story. So you, in the autobiography, which I've just called Logan at the moment, you gain tokens for doing things like self-care, and you spend tokens to do things that are like emotionally or physically draining, and they're connected to moves, which are things that I've done in my life, or small events that have been significant, like coming out to your family costs a token, and then like singing in the shower, you gain a token,
Oh,
stuff like that.
it's like Spoon Theory,
Yeah,
the
there's
tabletop game. but also trans.
It is a bit, yeah. Yeah, and
Trans
it's
spoon theory.
yeah. Um, yeah, so it's quite personal, um, in that yeah, each move has different outcomes. There's like the best, best outcomes with the rolling 2d6 plus a stat. Um, there's like a total success, a partial success, and a fail. And yeah, when I've rolled those moves in real life, the truth is in there somewhere in that move, and then the other options are what could have happened. So it's really interesting for me to kind of look back over my life and think, oh, how could my life be different if these small things had changed? And also it's like I'm telling people a lot about myself, but it's kind of hidden because you don't know which of the stuff that I'm telling you is true,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting. And I guess the idea of the game, how you would play it, is you would go from the start and make a Logan and run him through these moves and have him live a life, and then come out at the end with a Logan and then compare him to me now and see how does my life end up in your hands?
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's also one of those games that I also consider it a lyric game. So lyric games are games that kind of push the boundaries of what a game is, and really dive into the notion of games as art. So a way that you can play Logan, the autobiographical type tabletop game, is just by reading it, and that is a valid way to play. Um, and I guess the invitation is to read through these moves of my life, consider what my life has been like and what it could be like, and in return, what your own life has been like. And if you were to do this exercise of making a game out of it, how could your life have been different? And for me, at least, it's been an exercise in being grateful for where I am. And yeah, there's like some tough stuff in there. There is one move that deals with self harm, and acknowledging that, yeah, things can be really tough. But then sort of moving through this game, this autobiography, being really grateful for where I am now. So yeah, it's a lot of different things. It's still not finished, and I would love to finish that game, Juliet and Maddie. I've not finished it yet, but I would love to at some point.
So if we're listening to this in the future and we want to run and go look and see, has Logan put the game somewhere, do we go look on your HIO page? And if so, what's the name we go search over there?
Over there, you would search readingstories.itch.io. That is my itch store, and that's where my autobiography will be if and when it's done. In the meantime, there's a lot of other games there that you can explore if you want to.
I love it. Awesome. I'll put that in the notes too. So great. Do you want to tell us about
So
some
many
of
notes.
the other games that you have in here?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, as I kind of mentioned before, you start making your first game and you're not so proud of it, and then you get to you keep going and going and going, and you make games that you're really proud of. So I started making games in 2019, and yeah, I'm still going now. And so my most recent game is called "If You're Lost, You Can Look and You Will Find Me Time After Time." You can just call it Time After Time for short. And yeah, I'm really quite proud of that game. It is a two-player game based on the Carter system by Kat McDonald, who put up a system reference document for Carter so that you can make your own games using the same system, which is really awesome. So I made Time After Time. The premise is that you are two lovers, separated across time, trying to reach each other. Um, Battling with, yeah, time itself to try and be together. And as you're doing this, you're living your relationship out of order. So you'll experience your first date, and then you'll experience, you know, uh, you've been living together for 3 years and you're sitting on the couch, and then you'll experience the first time you ever met. And then, yeah, it's really, yeah, it just uses cards and questions. There's no dice involved. And I played it with my partner, and my partner has played it with her partner, and some other folks have been playing it as well. And my partner and my polycule, we played it as ourselves rather than fictional characters. And again, for us, it was an exercise in being really grateful for each other, and yeah, looking over our relationship and sort of dreaming into the future. Some of the prompts are set in the past, and some are sort of present, and some are in the future. And yeah, we all just kind of felt really soft and grateful and loving towards each other. And I cried a little bit, and it was great.
No.
Yeah, it's just a really soft game to explore your relationship with someone that you love. So if you have someone that you love, someone that you want to love, I recommend you play this game. And bring tissues.
this could be like a super cute way for someone to ask somebody out, like, "Hey, do you want to play this game with me?"
It's, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of intense. Like,
I mean, have you met
it's a bit of a
lesbians?
deep dive. Okay, good point. You're right. You're right. Maybe they would move
Insert
the other
U-Haul
question
joke
up.
here.
It's a good
Oh,
point.
delightful.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm quite. Yeah, that's quite a feels heavy game, which is what I like. I like exploring games that make me feel things. Mostly
I might
love.
have to check out Hi Name I'm Dad.
Yeah. I Name I'm Dad. That is a business card game. Again, for another jam was the Pleasure Not Business Card Jam. So jams again are a really great way to get inspiration to make games. But yeah, it's a game. It's on a business card, and yeah, it's just a bit of fun, really. It's I don't know. Do you want to play it with me right now, Meowster?
Sure.
Okay. So I have to get the game up to make sure that. So first, the idea is that you would like bump into someone at a con or something, and so to start playing the game, Meowster, you have to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Meowster.
Hi, Meowster. I'm Dad. And then the card says, please, while they're confused, roll a d6. So I have to roll a d6. I'm just going to use the internet to do that. I'm at my partner's house, so I don't have my dice next to me, which I usually leave out on my desk. Okay.
I'll get a gay dice out. Dad.
I've rolled.
What'd you
Okay.
get?
So on a roll of a 5, I rolled a 5. On a roll of a 5, I ask, how can I support you? Oh, wow. How can I support you, Meowster?
Well, you're already doing a great job. You're telling me all this stuff about what it's like being a trans man or trans masculine person, and I'm further behind on that journey than you are. So you're giving me hope for the future. It's pretty cool. Did I break your game? By saying you're already doing it? We broke the video feed for a second.
No. Oh, okay, we're back.
You're back. Daw. Okay, how can you support me? You can tell me a story of belonging.
Story of belonging. Okay. My mind kind of immediately goes to so my metamor runs a nature connection camp, kind of like a holiday program for families, and yeah, families come with their kids and go camping for 5 or 6 days in basically a forest kind of landscape, and my partner and my metamor, they've been running these camps for 6 or 7 years maybe, and I went for the first time this year since being in relationship with my partner. And the two of them were like, oh yeah, it's a really great community. It really feels like a family kind of thing. And I was like, oh yeah, I mean they've been doing this for years. I'm sure it kind of feels that way for them. I assumed I would kind of feel on the outside for a while, but yeah, no, stepping in, like everyone was just so friendly and helping each other, and like there's a lot of queer folks there and just families, and there's this one kid who she came up to me and recognized that I was new and just started talking to me right away, like, oh, hi, you know, is this your first camp, or what are you doing, like, oh, what do you like to do, my name's this and I like to do this, and do you like this thing about camping, and have you got your knife license, and just immediately welcomed me in, and everyone was just, yeah, so friendly, and like everyone eats the same dinner. Like they have like vegetarian and like no garlic options and things. But yeah, everyone eats together, and we sit under this like huge tent and eat together. And then there's story catching where the kids are invited to tell stories about their day, and some of the adults too. And then one of the leads will get up and tell, you know, like a dream time story, and then we sing together.
Aw.
And it was just, yeah, it was just really lovely, and felt very connected to the people, and to the land as well. And yeah, there was just a really great sense of connection and belonging there. In that, like over like the camp was like, you know, 6 days, and yeah, you know, within like 2 3 days, felt very connected, which is very lovely. That's a very short period of time, but yeah, felt belonging very quickly. It's very nice.
I love that. Some of my favorite experiences have been camping with friendly witches in the woods.
Ooh,
Like favorite experiences of all time. I'm
wow.
not going to
Can you
get
share
too much
one?
more specific than that because I don't want to dox myself. But I can tell you privately if you are interested. But yeah, I love time in nature, in community, sharing meals, sharing stories around a fire, dancing, singing, having that time together, and sort of unplugging from all the computer tech internet things, and just like really breathing the air and just being present. And it's I always feel way better after I've had that time, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. It's like, yeah, it's just like kind of a refresh or a cleanse or something. It's very, I agree.
Hmm. One of the things I told my wife when we were thinking like, oh, we might actually be able to go camping or something. Like when summer was a couple months away, I was like, okay, honey, the one thing I want to make sure we do this summer is go camping. And because where I am, we're coming towards summer, not winter. And so, we went to schedule, and like almost everything is booked. So if we go, we're gonna have to go on a weekday, which will be fine. I will just have to tell everyone on stream, I love you, goodbye. I'm gonna go be in the trees and see you in a couple days. Um,
Mhm.
but it's really a lovely, lovely experience. So thank you for bringing that sense memory to me because it's so good. Yay! Aw, big hearts. Is that the whole game? Is that your whole
Yeah,
cute
well,
game?
there's you roll a d6, and so there are six different options, six different ways that I could have interacted with you.
Yeah,
But they're all, yeah, kind of, you know, the tagline of the game is how to be a good dad, which is, or you know, or a dad friend, which is to basically just care for the other person. So it's six different ways to care for whoever you're interacting with.
I love
Um,
that. You're like being an example of like positive, healthy masculinity in the world.
Thanks.
Oh, so so sweet and
Yeah,
cute. I think I'm crying again. That's fine. I'm allowed to cry though.
cry all the tears.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, my journey with masculinity has been a whole thing, like from kind of doing it as a comfort kind of thing as a kid, like wearing shorts and t-shirt and that kind of thing, to then um yeah, almost like when I first came out, it was suddenly kind of like policed a lot more by my parents and family. Like I'd always worn shorts and t-shirt, and then suddenly wanting to wear that to school after school had finished was like suddenly not okay. Like I had to
Mm-hmm.
stay in my school uniform, which was a dress.
Ooh,
And like for a long time, my brother had called me bro, like before I was out, just as like slang. And
sure.
then when after I did come out and he would call me bro, then it was like not okay. So kind of I felt like my masculinity was very policed at that point.
Yeah.
And then sort of coming out and then like being able to start physical medical transition, I felt like I had to present in a very specific way to be taken seriously. Um, like my hair now is sort of a bit on the longish side compared to Meowster's maybe. And but I felt like, and I like it this kind of length. But at the time I felt like I had to have very short hair, like about Meowster's or even shorter, to be taken seriously as as a masculine person, and I had to act in a certain way, and I had to man spread and all this sort of thing. So I felt like my masculinity was again sort of I was kind of policing my own masculinity in that point to try and be really trans or that sort of thing. And then I think mainly focused around passing and wanting other people to read me as male. And then now that I'm very grateful that I've been able to go on testosterone and my body takes to it quite well. So I do have a beard and a deep voice and all this sort of thing. I've been able to kind of what I like to call go masculinity shopping and take what I like and leave what I don't.
I love that.
And yeah, that's been really great to just kind of really examine what society expects of men and be like, actually, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that. I'm not going to act like and be very comfortable in the knowledge that that doesn't make me not a man. And yeah, like I said, I like flowers and being soft and talking about my feelings, and these are all typically feminine things, but I do them, and I'm a man, and it's great.
I love that. You're expanding the gender expression pool opportunities for yourself because you feel solid in your identity. Because identity and expression are two totally completely different things.
100%.
I love that. I have a story that's tangentially related to this, and so at that witchy camp thing, we had our one of our rituals, one of the evenings, one of the years, and a trans man friend of mine was there and said in ritual to all of these like eco-feminist anarchist witches like a bunch of LGBTQ witches, I'm insert name here and I'm your dad. And so, like, for the whole ritual, this friend just stood in as everyone's dad, and they all got to come up and talk to this friend about anything they wish they could have said to their dad. And, like, this friend offered dad hugs to everyone. And so, on the one hand, it was, like, super affirming for this friend because, like, he got to give dad hugs to everyone as, like, a trans man. And everyone else was like, oh, the dad feels. And it was just, oh, there was so much crying. It was so beautiful. It's so like there is such a need for like nurturing soft masculinity in the world. There's such a great need for it, and I love that both of us get to be that. That's so great. Lucky us. It's like we won the gender lottery.
Yeah, I feel like I won the gender lottery. I'm having a great time with my gender.
Yay. Duh. Okay. I have two questions left, and I want to sort of reshape this next one a little bit. Can you share a moment of gender euphoria? But I'm thinking like, what would that look like now with your more sort of expansive gender identity?
Mm.
Gender expression is actually what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Like, what gives you euphoria
I
today?
still gives me euphoria today. I still quite like seeing myself in the mirror when I've especially after I've shaped my beard how I like with this like little I shave a little line here. Don't know what it is, but it really works for me. And usually like this is all clear. Growing out. But like yeah, like fresh after that shave. I know I like how it makes my face look. And that feels like, hey, I've got a beard. Look, it's doing things on my face. That's very fun and exciting. I also quite like being shirtless now that I feel comfortable too. I've had top surgery. Yeah, which I can also talk about more if we like. But yeah, just being able to do that really casually and just like, oh, I forgot my shirt in my bedroom. I can just walk from the bathroom to my bedroom just like, yeah, really chill, like small moments like that. I feel like there's certain outfits as well that make me feel gender euphoria. I haven't experimented with skirts yet. Hoping to go on a polycule date where my partner, who knows good things about clothes, will help me and my metamour to find clothes that we like. That'll be super cute. So I don't know how that's going to interact with my gender and euphoria. But yeah, there's like certain outfits that I like that really make me feel, yeah, euphoric. Yeah.
Love that. Whenever I get a good haircut, that's one of the moments I feel the most euphoria right now. Because I am like still pretty newly on HRT and haven't had proper top surgery. I had the reduction, so I sort of know what it's like. I know the pain and the all the disability that you have for a little while and all of that. But you know, there's still some shapes happening on my chest that I don't prefer at this point. But definitely like the haircut and just seeing my face with like the sharp, like the sides are definitely short. Like, yeah, oh, it's so good. I love a good haircut.
Haircuts can do wonders, yeah.
Like if you have a trans masculine person in your life, one of the best presents you can give to them is like a haircut pack. That's actually something my wife did 2 holidays ago, and it was just the best thing ever. I was handsome for a whole year. It was the best. It's like, I gift you handsomeness. It's a
Yeah,
present.
transomeness.
Transomeness! Yes! Hashtag transom. I love it so much. Ugh. What a lovely conversation. My heart is so warm and full. Um, are there any other resources you want to make sure people are aware of? We've talked about all kinds of wonderful things, and I've done my best to take notes. But is there anything else you can think of? It doesn't have to be tabletop related. Any? I guess okay. I did think of one specific resource question. So the other day, I met a parent of a 12-year-old trans boy in Australia. Can you believe it? Just on the internet,
Yeah.
it happened, and I was like, I don't know what to do with you, parent. It actually inspired me saying, "Mom, can we do a talk show? Because we need to talk about this, and I need like a thing to send to those parents so they can have a thing for them." But you know, I was doing some very cursory research. I found like P Flag Australia, but that's all I've got. Do you have any other suggestions about like Australian resources for trans people more specifically? Can
Yeah.
you? I don't know. I didn't prepare you for this question, so maybe it's like, ooh, but
Going off the top of my head. Yeah, so funny that you mentioned interviews with trans folks and their parents, because there is a Australian Jewish non-binary author who a while ago, earlier in their transition, did a video with their mum, and they've just recently done another one, I think 7 years later, with
oh,
their
wow.
mum. Yeah, talking about transition and what that was like. So their name is Nevo Shishin, and they put that up on their YouTube, I believe. And I can type out the name for you because they've also written some books that are really great. Actually, they wrote an autobiography called Finding Nevo, like Finding Nemo, but Nevo, and which I read and was really good, and yeah, kind of expanded my knowledge about what it means to be non-binary because my experience is quite binary.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's really great. And they've also released another book, the Pronoun Lowdown, which is all about pronouns, which can be a great resource as well. Look them up. Yeah, in their video. For queer and gender diverse Australians, there is -18, mainly Melbourne based. Yeah, a lot of my knowledge is largely Melbourne based. But -18 is a queer peer led organization that runs a lot of events. I'm not sure how it's looking given the current pandemic situation, but they've done a lot of great things. Y Gender is another, letter Y and then the word gender, specifically around trans folks. And that group was really helpful to me when I was first coming out, when I was struggling in high school as well. They had other events to just a lot of like discussion based events, and there were older trans folks there. I remember there was one guy who I think he was like 30 or something, and even just to see a trans man in his 30s when I was 17, 18, and be like, you can be trans and be 30, you can be an adult and you can make it to that age, and you can, you can have a life and be trans and like be great and fine, actually, was just so valuable for me to see that there are trans adults out there.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I did a lot of like looking at YouTubers.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Dodger is one that is still making content. His name's Jamie. Jamie Dodger, I can also spell these things out. So you can find links. Who else? I watched a lot of Alex Bertie. He's not really making much stuff anymore. But yeah, there's a lot of YouTube I have found is really great. A really great place to find other people like you, and find people who aren't. So it's finding out what you're not is also helpful in saying, oh yeah, maybe I'm not this, but that can lead you down another path. That can be really helpful as well.
I love that. Awesome. Oh my goodness. I hope we keep having conversations here and there as friends. I feel so like joyous and grateful that we had this time together today. But
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed chatting.
so for the viewers that maybe have joined since the beginning of stream, is there anything else you would like to sort of share or promote or invite with the things that you're doing? We will have all of these wonderful notes for folks later, but do you have anything coming up you want to make sure we know about or anything?
I mean, I'm working on a lot of things. But they're all, there's a lot happening that I'm doing. So basically just follow me on Twitter. If you want to keep abreast of what I'm up to. Um, yeah. One thing I will mention actually is currently there's some great bundles on Itch. So bundles are where a bunch of different creators often get together and put their games in a bundle at a discount. And there are charity bundles, so where all the funds goes to a charity. So there is a bundle coming up that is raising funds to send to folks suffering in Palestine. And there's another one that I've joined as well that is raising money for people struggling with homelessness. So I can grab you those links.
Awesome. Great. We have a final question from Trans Capybara, and if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. But the question is, how did you get all of the facial hair? What are some good techniques to get it to grow thick like that?
Yeah, look, a lot of it just comes down to genes. There are some folks I know who I've seen who've used minoxidil, which is typically minoxidil is to help with baldness.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is just I'm just blessed with hairy ancestors. So yeah, and yeah, it just comes down to person. Like I'm hairier than any of my brothers. Comes down to genes, really. This took quite a while to grow in.
Mm-hmm.
This was I'm almost 5 years on testosterone now. And it wasn't till maybe the three and a half year mark that I could properly fill in the sides. For a long time, I just had the moustache and like the goatee not connected combo.
Yeah.
And then around 3.5 years, then it could start. Like this was always really patchy in the sides, but it started to actually properly go in about 3.5 years. So it's just I mean, obviously good things like eat good food, sleep right, take care of your body so it can do all of these things. But yeah, a lot of it just comes down to your genes. A good thing to do is like, look at your cis male relatives, yeah, parents or siblings, that can often be a fairly good indicator. But again, yeah, I'm hairier than my brothers, um, and my dad shaves, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah. My dad does not shave, and he's got like even more beard than you do. So I think there's hope. I think
Yeah,
there's hope.
yeah.
He in the winter he'll grow like a fisher person's beard because he goes out on his boat and does silly things. And you know, why wear a scarf when you can grow one? That's sort of his. That's sort of his theory.
That's
So he
fair.
just grows a
Yeah,
scarf.
if you've got some stuff after a couple of months, it's looking
Mm-hmm.
pretty strong. I reckon. But yeah. Also, like, just be patient with your body. Your body's like going through puberty, your second puberty.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Anyway, yeah, and that goes for anyone. Like, yeah, people like when I was first on testosterone, I was like, yes, I want deep voice now. I want beard now. I want this now. And yeah, it takes time for these changes to come through, but they will happen. Um, yeah, depending on your genes. So yeah, just take care of you, and your body will do its thing.
Do you have any other advice for people at the beginning of their sort of medical trans journey?
Um, Start of your medical transition. Yeah, it can be tough. There's a lot of, at least for me, there'd been a lot of like hoops you have to jump through. But don't be afraid to ask lots of questions. Yeah, of professionals or other people who've traveled the sort of similar path that you would like to. Yeah, just ask lots of questions. A lot of people are happy to answer them, and help people up on their way. And the professionals, yeah, like they're expecting all of these questions. Um, and they've done this a bunch of times before, so they'll have the answers. Um, yeah, and just take care of you is my biggest advice. Sometimes that can be hard, or it can feel hard to do.
But it's also so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you for being a guest. I appreciate your time and your energy and your wholesomeness. And I look forward to digging through your game library on itch and hello, I'm dad at people.
Yes.
It's really it's really cool. Um, so we will say good night for the podcast or good morning if you're in Australia. And yeah. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been a really great chat. I've really enjoyed myself. Thank you.
Totally. Me too. Thank you so much.